Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Carey. I am the class coordinator and senior instructor of police for the 318th Basic Training class. I would ask that you join me in welcoming today's graduates, the members of the 318th Basic Training class, as they join me on stage. Members of the 318th Basic Training class, and ladies and gentlemen, please rise or remain standing and direct your attention to the Salina Police Department for the presentation of colors and our national anthem. Honor Guard, please post the colors.
Present. Order.
You may be seated. During your time at KLETC, you have all walked past the Wall of Honor many times. The Wall of Honor was designed as a reminder of those KLETC graduates who have died in the line of duty. The names and photos of the 29 individuals memorialized there help preserve their memories and give family, friends, and law enforcement officers the opportunity to remember those that made the ultimate sacrifice in service to the citizens of Kansas. At this time, please join me in a moment of silence to observe and honor those 29 KLETC graduates who have given the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. On August 28th, you all started your journey here at KLETC. You were all seated in classroom 1. Some of you appeared more anxious than others. It was in that classroom when I first heard your reason, your why for joining this profession. Whether it was a dream or life-changing event, you were all here for a specific reason. During your time here, you faced many challenges. You have pushed yourselves physically and mentally. You have learned not only the law, but also the art of de-escalation, the importance of empathy, and the commitment to justice. But your journey doesn't end here. Today, you don the badge of a law enforcement officer, a symbol of trust and responsibility. You step into a world demanding split-second decisions, unwavering courage, and an adherence to the highest ethical standards. Carry the lessons learned within these walls with you. Let them guide your actions, shape your decisions, and fuel your determination. Be fair, be just, and be compassionate. Your path will be challenging. You will face uncertainty, danger, and moments that will test your resolve. But remember, you are not alone. You stand shoulder to shoulder with dedicated colleagues, a network of support ready to assist and guide you. As you embark on this new chapter in your lives, I leave you with 3 words to remember. First, integrity. Always act with honesty and fairness. Uphold the highest ethical standards, even when it's difficult. Remember, the trust of the community rests upon your shoulders. Second, compassion. Never lose sight of the human element of your work. Treat everyone with dignity and respect, regardless of their circumstances. Remember, you have the power to make a positive difference in people's lives. Third, courage. Never back down from a challenge. Stand up for what is right, even when it's unpopular. Remember, the safety and security of your communities depends on your bravery. Graduates, you have chosen a noble profession. You have chosen to serve your community, to protect the vulnerable, and to uphold the law. This is a path that is both challenging and rewarding. Remember the lessons that you have learned, the sacrifices you have made, and the oath you are about to take. Go forth with integrity, with compassion, and with courage. The world needs you. On behalf of the KLETC administration and everyone here at KLETC, congratulations on completing your basic training. I'm proud of you. It is now my pleasure to welcome today's commencement speaker, KLETC Executive Director, Darren Beck.
You should probably go ahead and applaud now because you probably won't want to later. So years ago, when I was in the Army and I was a young pup, I think I was a lieutenant at the time, I had to speak to a group like this. And it was as we were getting ready to deploy, and we were a headquarters unit, and we're getting ready to deploy. And they said, we need to have somebody deliver the legal address. And I'm a recovering attorney. And so they, the legal briefing so that everybody knew what their legal rights were upon reemployment. And so I got up to give the speech. I knew that I was going to be doing that. And we were a headquarters element, and so there was a lot of rank in the room. Not unlike here, where I still see some stars, and I'm seeing some eagles on the collars back in the back. But much like this room. So I'm starting to get nervous. I was young. I didn't do a lot of public speaking back then. And so I'm getting nervous. My boss's boss, and on up the chain was there, generals. And so I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? They call my name. I'm getting up to go speak. And this is the relevance to this story. I get up to go speak, and I start to stand up, and my wife is in the room, and she puts her hand on my arm. And I said, isn't that the great thing about marriage? Isn't that great? She can just tell. She can just tell I'm nervous, that I don't really want to do this. And so she taps me, and I lean down to hear what she has to say. And I'll never forget the words of encouragement that she gave me that day. If you drag this out, I'm going to hurt you. And I think about that now every time I give a speech, that not everybody's as excited about what I'm talking about as I am. But I'm very, very pleased to be here today. I am the executive director here at KLETC, and I was a little concerned. I've worked here now for 27 years, and I've never given a graduation address. And part of it is because I think it takes something away from the graduation for me to give the address. I like it better when other people are coming in and talking to the officers so that they can give their thoughts. So I thought I'm going to make up for that by at least giving one message that you hear frequently when the community comes in and talks. We've had the president of the Senate, we've had the Speaker of the House, we've had all sorts of government officials, senators and congressmen and all sorts of elected officials. And when they talk, they frequently have the same message, and I absolutely believe it's true. And that same message is the community supports you and what you do. And that's an important message because you don't get that every day. You don't get that in the media. You don't get that on YouTube. What you get to see in the media and on YouTube are those people who are not very supportive of what you're doing, who are highly critical of what you're doing. And don't get me wrong, I do believe we should be held to a high standard, but a fair standard. And so I think it's important for you to know that the bulk of the population supports what it is you do. And so I'd like to thank you personally on behalf of the public, although it's a little bit like having your father tell you you're pretty. It's kind of an inside compliment that it's hard to take very seriously, but thank you for what you do. Thank you for this choice. This is not an easy profession. There were much easier professions out there where you would not be criticized all the time. And you didn't choose that. You chose law enforcement, and I'm glad you did. Thank you. So you just finished basic training. You just finished it. So what does basic training look like for law enforcement? What is it that we've taught you how to do? And I hope you've seen it up on the walls. I hope you've seen, and as you all go around, I hope you have a chance to tour the facility today. Look on the walls and see what it is that we think law enforcement officers need to know. We think they need to know how to perform their duties safely, how to do what they do safely, not just for them, but also for the people that they come into contact with and other people around them. That's an important core function of law enforcement. We also think that law enforcement officers need to understand the law. That's kind of a given. That's kind of an easy one. I think I probably could have surveyed the room and you all would have said, yeah, law enforcement officers need to know the law. So we have that. You have to know how to do an investigation. That's, again, something that's pretty obvious. Now I'm going to get into the things that are a little bit less obvious. We also think that you need to be fit for duty and be resilient. Be resilient. A law enforcement officer is 2.4 times more likely to take their own life than to have their life taken feloniously. And it's because of that that we focus so hard on teaching officers how to deal with the stress of law enforcement, the criticism and the stress that leads them to make that kind of a bad decision. Resilience is so important. Procedural justice. Now, that's not a function of law enforcement. That's not a core training focus of law enforcement that I ever would have believed 27 years ago when I started here would be a part of it, but it has become. Law enforcement is an evolving profession. We're constantly looking to get better and to change. And what the public has told us is procedural justice is important. It's as important as anything else that you do. And so it's now a core function of, or a core piece of our training. Communication. We expect law enforcement officers to be good communicators. It's probably the only profession that, I don't know, outside of maybe a court reporter or somebody like that, who actually chronicles what they do on a daily basis throughout the day. The reports that law enforcement officers do and the communication that they do it's absolutely essential to the functioning of the system. And then there are all the miscellaneous law enforcement duties and behaviors. Those are all important. That's what you learned to do in the past 14 weeks. I would say of those, the most important is perhaps procedural justice. I had the opportunity to come into contact with some of WPD, the Wichita Police Department's officers, at about 12:30 at night, 2 nights ago. They were knocking on my door. That's not something you want to hear generally, is police knocking on your door at 12:30 at night, but they were. And my dog was barking, and that's about the only reason that I woke up, actually. And so after I got the dog calmed back down, I go outside and I'm talking to them. And I talk to the officers, and it's because I look out in the street, and my son's car is turned in the street, and it's out in the middle of the road, and there's another car that's turned backwards. The axle's broken on both cars, and there's a woman crying over across the street. Not a detective, but I figured out there was an accident that involved my car, and there was a DUI. After that DUI, I got the person's name, and I looked up that person. And so I saw where she works. I saw she's 30 years old. She is engaged to be married. She'll be married in about 6 months, assuming things are going well at this point. And I just kept thinking, I couldn't help thinking to myself, what a terrible thing has happened to this person. Here's a person whose life otherwise was going great. She made one very stupid decision and decided to drive home when she was very drunk, hits my car, and now her life changes forever. What's that have to do with procedural justice? It has everything to do with procedural justice. The important thing is to remember that the people that you're coming into contact with, that might be the only thing they've ever done that was a bad thing. They may have had a lifetime of good decisions. That one thing, though, requires a law enforcement response. So I challenge you to allow those people to keep their dignity. To challenge you to allow them to have their voice, be heard. They're still a person. They're still probably a good person. Now, I haven't drunk the Kool-Aid that I don't believe that evil walks among us. It does. But not everybody is evil. Or as they used to say, evil lies behind the tree ready to hurt you, but not every tree. So keep that in mind as you're going forward. The other functional area that I think is so important, like I mentioned, is communication. I've seen it. I've been in a trial where a poorly written report, and I was the prosecutor at the time. Like I said, I'm a recovering attorney. And the report that the officer had written was not good. It was confusing. It was hard to follow. And the officer, in testifying, refreshed their recollection with their report, and they confused themselves. So we ended up losing that case. It wasn't a big deal. It was possession of drugs, but still, we lost that case because the officer's poor communication skills. It is so important that you learn how to speak clearly and how to write clearly. So at this point, you're sitting there at 560 hours of training, and you're ready to go forth. You're ready to go and be a law enforcement officer. 560 hours of training. You're not at the halfway point. I don't mean to scare you, but it's time to know that. If you work another 20 years, you have to get 40 hours a year of training each year that you work. You're looking at another 800 hours of training. You're not even halfway finished with it. So why do I tell you that? I tell you that because I want you to consider what you might do with those 800 hours. What do you want to focus on? Again, when I was in the Army, they had an expression, and I'm sorry for the colorful language, but that's what the Army is. But they anytime we would do something, they would say, well, this is gonna suck. So you need to just embrace the suck. So I'm gonna paraphrase that. And I'm gonna say, law enforcement's going to change. I want you to embrace the change. Don't just accept it. Don't just be okay that it's happening. Embrace that change. You need to change in order to be relevant and in order to be successful. We at KLETC, we're constantly trying to come up with training that puts you ahead of the bad guys. Hopefully, when you face a challenge, you are at that point, you've already been trained up in how to deal with that challenge. We look at the coasts, we look at the news, and we look for trends to try to do that. We try to prepare you today for the challenge that is tomorrow. And if you look at that, my favorite example of that is AI. I know for a fact that AI is going to be used by criminals at some point to commit crimes. I don't know how. And I know for a fact that law enforcement is going to use AI to address the problem. And I don't know how. But I can tell you, KLETC will be offering courses in the not so distant future telling you how to do that so that you're prepared. Keep your skills sharp. You went through 560 hours. You have the 7 core competencies mastered. Keep those skills sharp. Make sure you continue to practice the things that you need to practice, whether that's control tactics or whether that's firearms or whatever it is that you need to do. But this last challenge that I would give you, consider broadening your worldview. Broadening your worldview. Not just to know the law, not just to have your skills, but actually see the world in a different way. Take classes where you learn about humans, you learn about people. Law enforcement is about the study of people more so than anything else that we do. So learn all you can about them. Learn about their psychology, learn about their traditions and their cultures and their values. It will make you a better communicator. It will allow you to work with procedural justice, to have procedural justice just inculcated into your being without even having to think about it. Broaden your worldview. Typically, that means you're probably going to have to go to a college or a university setting to do that. So consider finishing your education, starting your education at the college level if you haven't yet, or continuing it. I have one final thing to tell you, and that's today you sit here and you are competent. Competent. The instructors tell me that they tested you and that you are competent in what you do. Don't live your life saying that competent is an acceptable standard. Strive for excellence. Move from competence to excellence in what you do and use those 800 hours and additional training and additional education to become excellent at what you do. And I would say in all things that you do. I have a tendency to say, if I'm not changing the world with what we're doing, then I'm not interested. Excellence. Aim for it and continue to move in that direction. Thank you very much. I think I went a little bit long, but thank you all very much for allowing me to speak for the first time in 27 years. I had this all bottled up inside me, and I'm appreciative that I was able to get it out, and that's all I have. I'm ready for my portfolio. We always give a portfolio to our guest speakers.
Executive Director Beck, on behalf of the 318th Basic Training Class, we appreciate your message today. I do not have your portfolio today, though.
There's no portfolio.
There is not.
So
There's not.
actually, I'm putting him on the spot because I was told I wouldn't get a portfolio. And at the same time, I got a message down in my email from the General Counsel's office that was outlining the rules for gifts for state employees. like, man, you all are serious about this. You're not giving me anything. So I appreciate it. The opportunity was what was important to me. Thanks.
Thank you. At KLETC, we recognize those student officers who have excelled in various professional skill sets during their basic training. For the 318th, we will start with fitness. Fitness being a key component in an officer's life. It helps them deal with daily stresses they'll face, and it aids them in supporting a healthier lifestyle, enabling them to better mitigate the dangers they may encounter. During their time at KLETC, all the student officers of 318th have remained active and engaged in a fitness routine. However, for a student officer to be recognized for receiving the fitness award, the student officer must successfully completed the following: successful completion of all academic performance and skills testing, along with completing 30 push-ups in a minute, 30 sit-ups in a minute, running the 1.5 miles in 18 minutes or less during the final physical assessment, and they must have logged 200 miles or more of running and or walking, or 800 miles of biking, riding outside of the normal required activities. The student officers who have met these goals are, and please stand when I read your name, Officer Aaron Bean of the Pittsburgh Police Department, Officer Ryan Blackburn of the Spearville Police Department, Officer Keaton McGuire of the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, Officer Dylan Simpson of the Iola Police Department, and Deputy Brian Siu of the Labette County Sheriff's Office. Well done. Y'all can be seated. For her efforts during the fitness challenge, we're going to next recognize Officer Aaron Bean of the Pittsburgh Police Department. Please join me at the podium. During the fitness award challenge, Aaron not only exceeded the requirements, she logged the most miles in that challenge. Over the course of 14 weeks, she logged 314.4 miles. For her efforts, she is being awarded the Fitness Medal. Please join me in recognizing Officer Aaron Bean for her efforts. Next, I would like to ask Officer Dylan Simpson of the Iola Police Department to please join me at the podium. Dylan is receiving a fitness medal for most improvement, stemming from his efforts from the start of the academy to the end. Please join me in recognizing Officer Dylan Simpson for his efforts. I would like to also acknowledge Philip Loggeman of the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office. Philip, would you please stand? Philip broke the KLETC record for the 1.5 mile run with a 7-minute and 49-second 1.5 miles during the PT final assessment. Would you please recognize that achievement with me? KLETC also recognizes student officers who have excelled in academics during their time at KLETC. Student officers who have achieved the following criteria will be graduating with academic honors. The requirements include 90% or greater overall written GPA, 90% or greater written final exam, 90% or greater overall performance GPA, 90% or greater overall performance final testing score, and must have completed a minimum of 100 miles logged of walking and or running, and must have successfully completed their skills testing and have received no disciplinary action. The officers who have met these goals are, and please stand when I read your name, Officer Keaton McGuire of the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, Deputy Brian Siu of the Labette County Sheriff's Office, and Deputy Dylan Shaw of the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office. Well done. You may be seated. Additionally, in academics, for a student officer to be recognized for achieving the Director's Academic Award, the student officer must have attained 94% pre-final written test GPA and a 94% or greater score on the written final, successful completion of all performance final testing, and successful completion of all performance and all skills testing, and has had no disciplinary actions. Today, I would like to recognize Dylan Shaw of the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office. Would you please come to the podium? It is my pleasure to present you with this plaque. I hope you display it proudly. Congratulations. It is now time for the class president for the 318th Basic Training class to deliver a few brief remarks on behalf of the graduating class. Ladies and gentlemen, the president for the 318th Basic Training class is Deputy Brian Siu of the Labette County Sheriff's Office.
Ladies and gentlemen, spouses, parents, family members, sheriffs, and chiefs, on behalf of my entire class, we thank you for making time to be here today. To my new family, the exceptional 318th Basic Training class of the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center. Today, we are more than just graduates. We are symbols of perseverance, resilience, and the embodiment of trust within our communities. It is an honor to serve as your class president and to have witnessed the relentless commitment and dedication each of us has shown during our rigorous 14-week journey. While I stand here looking over this audience, it's crucial to acknowledge the unsung heroes, the spouses and families who stood by us during the last 14 weeks. You've provided constant support by understanding the demands of our training and the sacrifices we've made to pursue our goals. Your patience, love, and encouragement has been crucial to our success. We cannot thank you enough for your support. Ever since day one, resilience has been the cornerstone of our training. We've endured both physical and academic challenges, as well as intense practical scenarios that tested not only our skills, but also our mental and emotional strength. In those moments, when it seemed too difficult to continue, we found strength in each other, in our shared purpose, and in the belief that we were doing what was vital for the safety and well-being of our communities. Yet resilience alone is not enough. Public trust, as mentioned in our oath of honor, is a foundation our service stands on. The public trusts us to serve, to protect, and to make decisions in the most dire of circumstances. This trust is not given lightly, and it can be lost easily. It is earned through integrity, transparency, and genuine care for our communities and the people who need us the most. We must never forget that it is a privilege to be trusted, and it's our responsibility to nurture and safeguard that trust with the utmost honor and respect. As we leave here today, donning our uniforms and the badge of honor, we carry a heavy weight on our shoulders, the weight of expectation. It's a responsibility we carry with pride, however, knowing the values that we've learned these past 14 weeks have prepared us to face the challenges of this career. In the face of adversity, uncertainty, and the ever-evolving landscape of law enforcement, our unity as a class will remain our strength. The bond we have formed is a testament to our determination, and it will continue to support us through the trials and triumphs that lie ahead. Class 318, we can never forget the sacrifices made here, the lessons learned, and the friendships created within these walls. We must carry the spirit of camaraderie we have found into our service. We must also remember that the principles we've learned here will guide us toward a better and safer future for all of our communities. Congratulations to each and every one of you on this great achievement. Don't think of this as just a graduation, but as the beginning of a noble journey where our resilience and the public's trust will stand as the pillars of our service. Thank you, and remember, we must always continue to serve with honor integrity, and commitment to our communities. Thank you.
On behalf of the class and the administration here at KLETC, I want to thank you for being the class president for the 318th basic training class. In law enforcement, ethics is at the forefront of training in our profession. The law enforcement oath of office affirmation is a constant reminder of the importance of always doing the right thing. This is something we have discussed in depth during your time here at KLETC. The ultimate purpose of law enforcement is public service. A law enforcement officer assumes a great responsibility when they affirm the oath of office. They have entered the profession of being role models, leading by example. They are enforcers of the law and protectors over our communities. Because the Law Enforcement Training Center believes the concepts and principles within the oath should be a dominating force in all officers' lives, I will ask Class President, Deputy CU, to lead the class with the Law Enforcement Oath of Office affirmation. 318th Basic Training Class. Please stand.
On my honor,
I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I'll always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I'll always uphold the Constitution of the United States, the state of Kansas, my community, and the agency I serve.
recovered.
318th, please be seated. In just a few moments, I will be presenting each of you with a challenge coin. Challenge coins are very symbolic and meaningful. Challenge coins are given to someone as a reminder of them or to confirm membership in an organization or as part of a group. The coin you will receive today recognizes you as a graduate of the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center. I ask that you carry it with you as a reminder of the lessons learned and the friendships forged during your time here at KLETC. On the back of this coin is the oath that each of you just affirmed moments ago. Carry it with you and let it be a constant reminder to always do the right thing. Graduates, congratulations. It has been my honor and my pleasure to be a small part of your journey. I wish you nothing but success and your continued safety each and every day. I will now ask Associate Director Alvin Sowers to join me on stage to present the members of the 318th Basic Training Class with their certificates while I present each of you with a KLETC challenge coin. The class president will announce the names of the graduates of the 318th Basic Training Class.
Front row, please stand. Aaron Bean, Pittsburgh Police Department. Haley Beetler, Washburn University Police Department. Ryan Blackburn, Spearville Police Department. Jacob Brashears, Park City Police Department. Seth Brooks, Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Billy Cannon, Miami County Sheriff's Office. Robert Cates, Fort Hays State University Police Department. Front row, please return to your seats. Please be seated. Second row, please stand. Garrett Daniels, Washburn University Police Department. Zachary Davis, Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Eduardo Gallardo, Prairie Band Potawatomi Tribal Police Department. Ethan Gurney, Oswego Police Department. Michael Haggerty, Tonganoxie Police Department. Philip Loggeman, Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office. Keaton McGuire, Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. Second row, please return to your seats. Please be seated. Third row, please stand. Heaven O'Neill, Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools Police Department. Connor Rowland, Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. Jordan Ruiz, Liberal Police Department. Dylan Shaw, Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office. Dylan Simpson, Iola Police Department. Luke Slepsky, Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. Adam Wiley, Derby Police Department.
And Brian C.U. of the Labette County Sheriff's Department. Third row, please return to your seats. And please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, chiefs, sheriffs, and all the coworkers that came, thank you very much for attending today. We appreciate that. I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to take up Director Beck's offer to tour our campus. There are lots of photo opportunities for your graduates back in the back of the room with our banner or outside around some of our areas, to include our statue in the courtyard. And ask your graduate to share some of the time and experiences they had at KLETC and some of the knowledge that they've taken away. They'll appreciate that. They worked hard for it. In a moment here, I'm going to certify each of these officers, and we'll keep going here. So 318, would you please stand? On behalf of Director Beck, I hereby certify that these officers have completed the requirements to be certified Kansas law enforcement officers. And they've been waiting, I think, 15 weeks, because they had a holiday break in there, for this final class dismissed. Okay, officially dismissed.